If anybody out there does not like Donald Trump, you watch this and I can damn near guarantee your opinion on the man is going to change.
People that have really hit big have gone against the tide. But you have to have great confidence in yourself. You have to be the right person. There are very few people that can pull it off. But when you pull it off, it's great. If you can have a mentor, having a mentor makes a big difference in life. Now, you have to look around who's somebody that you aspire to be or to be like. But having a mentor, it's really just a wonderful thing if you can have a mentor.
I went to a great school. I went to the Wharton School of Finance. And in that school, I met a lot of people heading industry today and over the past, very smart people. But I've watched some of the people grow. I've watched some of the most incredible, brilliant students. And they didn't make it like other people made it because they didn't have that drive. They didn't have that never give up ability. I don't know if it's an ability or if you have it, just you can't quit. And I've seen people quitting, and if they would have held out longer, they would have been successful. I've seen it so much. I've seen some of the most brilliant people in the world that never made it because they were quitters. One of the most important things, never, ever quit. Never quit. They were just quitters. They would quit. They just couldn't take it. They couldn't, whatever. One of the things about loving what you do is that it's not work, and therefore you don't quit automatically. It's a lot easier not to quit, but you can never give up. Now, you have to also have flexibility, though. You can't necessarily say, I'm never giving up, and you got to be able to weave and bob. You don't have to go through a concrete wall when you can go over it or around it or under it or something. You have to have flexibility. You have to always be able to change course a little bit, maybe always with that same goal, but don't quit.
And we're on this planet for a very, very small period of time. And achievement is something that really gives you great pleasure. And when you achieve something, that's great, but now on to the next. Very important, you keep going.
I was no different when I was 20 years old, believe me. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to get out of Brooklyn. I said, Pop, I love you, but I want to get out of Brooklyn. I love Brooklyn, but I want to get out. And I love those buildings. I looked from Queens and Brooklyn, and I'd see those big buildings, those big skyscrapers in Manhattan. I said, Pop, that's what I want to do. That's what I wanted to do. About 8 years ago, I was approached by NBC and Mark Burnett to do a show that they had entitled The Apprentice. Now, I had an agent, a big agent, and he was a great agent. But I shook Mark Burnett's hand, and NBC was dying to do it, and they said, we'd only do it if you do it, Trump. You're the only one we want, nobody else. I was honored, and I said, yeah, okay, I'm going to do it. I knew nothing about television, nothing. My agent calls me, I heard you accepted doing The Apprentice. I won't let you do it. I said, Jim said, Donald, in the history of television, there's never been a primetime show about business or what you're trying to do that succeeded. I said, I wish you told me that. Then he said, and only 3% of the shows that go on television make it. In other words, you're probably going to have a failure anyway, but you'll definitely have a failure. I'm your agent. I do not want you to do this show. I said, you know, Jim, I have a problem. I shook the hand of NBC, and I shook the hand of Mark Burnett. I said, I shook the hand. He said, doesn't matter. You can't do it. I said, I have to do it. Anyway, time goes by. We do the show. It goes on. It starts at number 10. It goes to 8. It goes to 5 and 4. It then goes to number 2. And the following week, it's the number 1 show on television. And I knew it was good because I didn't know what the word rating meant. I didn't know, is that good or bad? But I knew it was good because the chairman of NBC called me. It was my birthday. And it was 7 in the morning. And he called. He said, Donald, I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. Now, to me, as an instinctive businessman, that means we're doing okay, right? My wife said, who was that? I said, that was the chairman of NBC. He wanted to wish me a happy. She said, darling, it's like 6:30 in the morning. We went out, and I get a call from the agent. And he calls me also. But his call was like at 8. He said, Donald, congratulations. I'd like to see you. I said, Jim, what do you want to see me about? He said, well, your show just hit number 1,
And if you don't mind, I think I'm entitled to a very substantial commission. I said, how much do you think you're entitled to? Well, how about $2 or $3 million? I said, Jim, you're fired. And that was it. Point.
Think about this for a moment. Donald Trump could have easily gotten out of that deal. He could have weaseled out. He didn't sign any contract. He was not legally obligated to follow through on this Apprentice show. It had like a 2% chance of success, yet he decided, you know what? I shook the man's hands. I don't care how the odds are stacked against me. I'm going to do this. Don't you think that he still holds that same belief system? These principles, he not only has the same belief system, it's probably even more important. If he stands there, looks you in your eye, shakes your hand, he is going to follow through on whatever he says. Make no mistake about it. If that's the last thing he will ever do, he's gonna do it. I just know that's the type of person he is. And when he mentions the thing about mentors, that's so true. Because think about all the most successful people in life. Nobody does it on their own. They all have somebody that they model themselves after. They take lessons. They try and soak up as much information as possible so that they can follow in their footsteps. Just look back in history. I mean, Aristotle taught Plato. Plato taught Socrates. Socrates taught Alexander the Great. This is great wisdom going from one generation to the other. Donald Trump knows the power in that. And he's giving us a lot of his secrets right here. And many people are not going to seize that opportunity. They're not going to hold these principles in their own life, their own prejudices against the man. You can hate his personality. You can hate this, that, or the other. You cannot deny that he is an ultra successful human being, and there is nobody better at doing what he does best, which is make deals.
My handshake. I would have, had I not shaken hand, I would have really listened to Jim. That's important. Number two is sometimes in life to be successful, oftentimes, most of the time, you have to follow your instincts. You have to follow your gut. You have to. Your parents may say wrong. Your whoever may say wrong, but you have to do it. Now, speaking of that, you've got to love what you do. And I've seen so many instances where people with great talent went into things that they didn't love and they failed. I would always say to people, and I'd see people, and I'd say, you got to love what you do. Because you love what you do, you work harder, but it's not work. I just bought Doral. I was telling Jerry, I just bought Doral, 800 acres in the middle of Miami. Gorgeous. I'm so excited. I want to fix it up. It's sort of not so nice now. It's got the big tournaments, got everything, but it was run by Wall Street people. Wall Street people aren't good for fixing things. They're good for moving paper. That's not good. That's not what we want in the country. I want to do sort of a version of what you did here, but I have many, many jobs like that. I love taking things and building. I love building. I almost like fixing better because if you're smart, if you're really smart, you can save a lot of money. When the building is there, the foundations are built, the steel is up, the walls are up, and then, you have people say renovation costs you more money. Those are people that aren't smart people. I know that for a fact you renovated a couple of buildings here and did very well, that you could never, ever do if you had to build new. If you build new, I love that too. I do it both ways. But there's something great about the renovation project. So you've got to love what you do. You've got to work hard. Never, ever quit. Never, ever give up. Because that's the other thing. I've seen people that are super genius, but they don't have that gut feeling. They don't have that stick-to-itiveness, that never quit. And I've seen people that almost made it and failed because they couldn't go that extra mile. They couldn't do it. So you get something, you never, ever quit, never, ever give up. When people ask me about success, I've just started thinking about it over the last couple of years because I've seen a lot of it. You have to have an ability to handle pressure because no matter how successful you are, I have many, many friends and enemies, a lot of enemies too, I don't care, but they're smart. I have a lot of enemies, and I've watched people and I've seen it. And people that can handle pressure can be entrepreneurs, can be successful. Now, I have some friends that are really, really smart, but they can't handle pressure. In which case, they should work for somebody, do great, and have a good life. There's nothing wrong with it. Because I almost think that's an instinctive thing, the ability to handle pressure. Now, one of the things I tell people about pressure is you know what? They said, how do you handle pressure? Who's had more pressure than me? Have I had pressure over the years? You have to remember, it doesn't matter. God matters. Your family matters. It doesn't matter. And if you say it, I have some people, they say, I've got to be successful. I've got to be. They'll never be successful. It's too crazy. They can't think straight. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you that was going crazy, standing up about your success, right? So you've got to be able to sort of say to yourself, nothing matters that much other than the real big deals with family, with your faith, etc. Okay. Always have passion. You've got to have passion for your family, for your life, for your church, for whatever it is. You've got to have that passion.
I've always believed in positive thinking. At the same time, I don't want to mislead. I also believe in aspiring, in terms of what you're doing, aspiring to protect against the downside. You can't just be this wonderful guy walking around, everything's positive, because unfortunately, that's not the way the world is.
That last quote reminded me of something a very famous UFC fighter once said. He said, the power of positive thinking. You could do anything as long as you can visualize that in your mind. But not only that, you have to put the work in. You have to constantly put in the hours every single day. Because you could have all the wishful thinking you want in the world. If you're not actually putting in those hours, then nothing will ever come of it. That's exactly what Trump's saying here. And he mentions about you have to be able to deal with pressure. Think about, as the years go on, how much pressure that this man has been under. I don't care if you hate the man. There is not another human being who could have done what he has done these past couple years. They took him off social media. They tried putting him in jail for the rest of his God-given life. They tried taking all his money. They tried to put a bullet in the man's head. And he still comes up each and every day. He's screaming, fight, fight, fight. He will fight till his last breath. There are only so many people who have that passion and who have that fire, who are fighting for a noble cause, who will put themselves through the gauntlet like that. If you ask me, Donald Trump is the embodiment of the never give up American dream attitude. There are many people in life who says, you know what, I can't do this because I'm born a certain way. I can't be successful because other people tell me I can't be successful, and then I just believe that. And I kind of just go along with what every other person says. That is poison. That is toxic. If you want to be successful in this life, you need to have positive thinking. Be grateful for what you have and believe that what you want is attainable. When Donald Trump went bankrupt in the 90s, he could have said, woe is me, all is against me, I might as well just give up here. But he decided, you know what? How great is this story going to be when not only do I get all my wealth back, but I get even more? Well, you know what? Why don't I become the president of the United States? Why don't I become the most powerful man in the world? And if he asked other people what they thought about that, they'd probably call him crazy. No, man, you're in real estate. You would never be able to last in that industry. Same thing with TV. You'd never be able to make it in the entertainment industry. If you listen to other people, you're not going to achieve anything in this life. That's why you have to be so steadfast and be so determined that nothing can talk you out of it. It's almost like the entire world thinks you're crazy, but you will eventually prove them right if you put in that work. Donald Trump is one of the most inspiring human beings in the world today because he never takes no for an answer. He always believes that there's more to be attained. Isn't that what you want out of your president? Somebody who refuses to take no for an answer and always is willing to put in that extra work. I don't care what anybody says. We will never have another president like Donald Trump. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this down below. Did this change your opinion of Donald Trump at all? And if so, how did it do so? Let me know. I'd love to know your thoughts. And if you enjoyed, make sure to smash that like, comment, subscribe, and wish you guys nothing but the best. Till next time.